Ginger Island, the one place in Stardew Valley where you can take your time to relax and enjoy the hot sunshine. A place which can take players well into their second year to unlock. But how fast can I really get here? Well, as you can tell by the title, I made it here in only 19 days, and here's how. Before we begin, let's cover the rules for this challenge, which are quite simple. I must reach Ginger Island as fast as possible, and I'll be allowing myself to use a set seed to guarantee a lot of rainy days, and also the use of a map predictor to help me traverse the mines much quicker, both of which will get me the fastest time. I decided to go with the Riverlands farm in this challenge, which starts with a free fish smoker for smoking catfish later on, and also the possibility of even more free smokers. I won't be doing much farming in this run, so the lack of space on the Riverlands farm won't be too much of a problem for me, but it does make getting hardwood much tougher than normal, when lined up against the forest farm, which has stumps that regrow every single day. But don't worry, I do have a solution for that problem, which you'll find out about later. For the basics, in order to reach Ginger Island, I will first need to complete the community centre, whether that's through the Joja membership route or completing the bundles. But I cannot afford to wait to donate all of the items, as some of them require winter forageables, so I'll be opting for the Joja route. Although I will actually be donating a few items. After completion, Willy will show us into his back room where we need to donate 5 battery packs, 200 pieces of hardwood and 5 iridium bars to fix the boat to Ginger Island. All of which are very tough items to get in spring, especially the iridium bars and battery packs. On day 1 there isn't really much we can do today, as I don't have access to the fishing rod, nor do I have a lot of energy to do anything. I chose to ship off the parsnips and began chopping down a few trees. I'll need to clear out a small area for something I have planned in a few days. I did also have the chance to wander around the valley collecting as much forage as possible, in order to replenish my energy to chop even more trees. In the evening, I took 300 pieces of wood to the beach in order to repair the bridge. It's extremely important I get this done on day 1, as I won't have much time over the next few days for chopping more trees. I will need access to this area for the coral and sea urchin, which are both needed to craft a bait maker. Of course things are different on day 2, as we can head straight down to Willy's to collect the old rod to begin fishing. Fishing will be my main moneymaker at the moment. Instead of fishing in the mountain lake, I chose to fish here in the ocean until I had enough gold to buy myself the fiberglass fishing pole, which on my first attempt I didn't have enough for, which meant even more fishing. One perk of using a map predictor is it can show you where bubble spots are going to spawn, allowing me to catch much more fish. Until eventually I had enough to buy the fiberglass fishing pole, and the remainder of the day is spent at the mountain lake fishing. I won't be selling any of my catches until fishing level 5 in order to sell them for 25% more gold, and overnight I made it all the way up to level 4 fishing. I won't keep you waiting, as it was more of the same on day 3, fishing at the mountain lake. I could go fishing for catfish today, but my low fishing level and terrible experience they offer makes it much more beneficial for me to fish here instead. And overnight I did manage to reach level 5 fishing, and also squeezed in level 6. This meant I could take all of my fish down to Willy's on day 4, which made me a fair amount of gold. At Clint's I purchased 9 pieces of iron ore, plus the 6 I got yesterday would be enough to craft the bait maker once I had a sea urchin. And also I bought 35 pieces of copper ore, which plus the 10 I got yesterday fishing would be enough to make a single furnace, and enough copper bars to send off my axe for an upgrade. Back at the mountain lake I did more fishing while smelting the copper bars, and made sure to send off my axe for an upgrade to copper. I would need to start collecting hardwood as soon as possible if I was ever going to get 200 pieces of it, which meant I had to get as early of an axe upgrade as I could get. And once again the remainder of the day was spent fishing and smelting some iron bars. Day 5 is a big day as it's the first day of the mines opening up, which meant I was straight down there this morning. I made sure to only get down to floor 5 before leaving, as in my plan this was the only day I had spare to fit in some extra chores, one of these chores being the community centre cutscene, which is annoying as it can only be viewed after entering town from the bus stop, which means walking all the way round wasting a bunch of time. Whilst I was in town I sold lots more fish to Willy's in order to buy some items for the travelling cart. One of the perks of having a set seed in this run is I can see what the travelling cart gets, and so it happens I can buy 5 battery packs for the hefty price of 2.5 gold apiece. If I had enough gold, in theory I could buy all 5 battery packs I needed right now, but I can only afford 2. Then I was to Robin's to build myself a fresh cabin for only 100 gold and no building time at all. I'll tell you why later. Then I was back to the mines to get as far down as possible. I was willing to reset any of these mine days until I had near perfect ladder luck. It was tight, but I made it all the way down to floor 30, and using the map predictor made things much easier, as it can show you all the potential spots that ladders should appear in. It isn't 100% accurate, but it did save me time and energy. The reason for building a second cabin is that it comes with a free fish smoker, courtesy of the Riverlands farm, which meant I had 2 for completely free, which is actually better than it seems, as the recipe for the fish smoker cost 10,000 gold from Willie's, and then 1 of each type of jelly, which can waste days collecting, and hardwood, which we just cannot afford to spend on things. I was straight to the wizards in order to unlock the bundles inside the community centre, and I straight away completed the spring foraging bundle, which unlocked even more bundles. You may be questioning why I'm even spending time to do this. Well, I'll tell you soon, I promise. I sold all the spring seeds to Pierre in order to afford the backpack upgrade, which would make life much easier inside the mines. My axe had finished its upgrade to copper, which meant I could chop hardwood stumps. Although, instead of that, I chose to head back to the mines to get even further down. I only made it to floor 40 for now, as the rocks were becoming super hard to mine every single time. And for the remainder of the day, I spent it chopping trees and also collecting some hardwood from the stumps on the farm, which gave me all of the materials to complete the construction bundle, which unlocks the boiler room. My plan would be to complete the boiler room bundle first, normally, and then buy the Joja membership. This would save me having to buy it later down the line, and honestly, it isn't even that hard to complete. And to round it out, I'm back at the mountain lake fishing. Day 7 it was raining today, and I had a fresh plan. Using the bait maker, I spent the entire day fishing for catfish, and then smoking them, which is the most profitable way of making money in this type of challenge. I did sell some fish to Willie, and also some minerals to Clint to send off my pickaxe for an upgrade to copper. It's quite boring, so I won't keep you long, and in the end I had over 20 smoked catfish and non-smoked catfish. And since they disappear at 12 AM, I spent the rest of my energy on chopping trees in the Cindersap forest. And I did decide to plant some carrot seeds before 2 AM to give me some energy later on. And overnight, I managed to make 13,000 gold. Demetrius is at my door today, asking me whether I want mushrooms or bats inside the farm cave. I wouldn't need either, so I chose mushrooms. As you can see, it was raining again, which meant even more catfishing in the river. The reason I decided to collect wood yesterday was to start turning it into coal inside the free kiln I got from completing the construction bundle. And I was going to need a lot of coal, as every time I smoke a fish, it consumes 1 coal, which can become quite pricey over time. So this was the next best option, and I didn't really have any more uses for wood anyway. In the end, I managed to get over 25 smoked catfish and a lot of non-smoked catfish. And same as yesterday, I spent the last few hours of the day chopping trees in order to fund my coal usage, and overnight I made 20,000 gold. Day 9 I used the chair to access the secret woods to chop the hardwood stumps in there. Every time I visit, I get 12 more pieces of hardwood, which won't be enough to get 200 pieces in the limited time I have. But of course, I have a plan for that. My pickaxe was ready to collect today, that meant a return to the mines. Luckily, after only a few day resets, I managed to reach floor 80 in 1 whole day. Using the map predictor to help with ladders of course, but I was definitely close on collecting the chest at 1 AM. My carrots I planted a few days ago were ready today, which was great, but I was back to the mines to get as close to the bottom as possible. I do actually need to go to the bottom of the mines in this run, not just floor 90 to get the obsidian edge. This time I wanted to get the skull key to go to the skull caverns in the next few days. And at 3:40 I collected my first star drop on floor 100. After that, I did a small trip to the community centre in order to complete the boiler room bundle. This would unlock the minecarts in the morning, and also make getting to the mines much easier from now on. But more importantly, it gets me 1 step closer to Ginger Island, and will save me a lot of gold in the long run. Thankfully, the Joja Mart doesn't close until later on into the night, which means I could head there and buy the Joja membership. Luckily, after some research, the boiler room will still be repaired overnight by the Junimos, and won't clash with the Joja membership, which was my main worry for this plan. Quite boringly, I was back to the mines and I made it down another 10 floors before farming iron and coal on the frozen levels. I was going to need to make a lot of bombs in a few days, so this was definitely necessary. And overnight, I watched the Junimos repair the minecarts. Day 11 it was raining again, which meant only one thing, more catfishing. But first, I make a trip to the secret woods to collect a bunch more hardwood, and at Willie's I bought the iridium rod, some trout soup, and some dress spinners. This was because I wanted to catch the legend today, which when smoked can sell for nearly 20,000 gold. After that, I sent off my axe for an upgrade to steel, and for some reason in my plan I put down that the upgrade would cost 10,000 gold, which came as a surprise when I only saw it cost 5. Since I won't have any more time to collect it, I had to waste some time today inside the mines, reaching floor 120 to get the skull key. Thankfully the legend didn't give me much trouble and I managed to catch it fairly quickly, using my trout soup to boost me up one more fishing level to fishing level 10. And then much more boring catfishing in the river. Of course smoking as many as possible, and overnight I made nearly 48,000 gold. Factoring in, nearly 10,000 of that gold comes from shipping all of my gold bars and other items, since I would have literally no other use for them. I was up to a whopping 60,000 gold, which was quite a lot, but it will quickly disappear today. So before I spent anything though, I returned to the river to smoke even more catfish. That was until the Joja Mart opened, where I spent most of it on the bus repair. When I was planning this video, repairing the bus is actually quite annoying to get, as I couldn't repair it on the 13th of spring, as it was the Egg Festival and you can't access town, and even if I bought it on the 14th of spring, it would still be a waste as I wouldn't be able to use it until the 15th of spring, where the skull caverns are open for free, which would mean I didn't need to get the skull key earlier. See what I mean? There are so many complications when dealing with a challenge like this. Moving on, another 10k gold was spent on the final backpack upgrade, which was essential before I get travelling to the skull caverns. I did spend the remainder of my gold on salads at the saloon later. What was great is that later into the night I got the message of reaching level 10 fishing, but the 50% fishing buff won't apply until tomorrow, which I learnt in my max skills video, so I didn't choose to sell anything tonight. Overnight I watched Joja repair the bus to the desert and also reach level 10 fishing. The reason I wanted the bus upgrade very early was day 13 I planned to go to the skull caverns right away. I am fairly undergeared for a trip like this, so I spent some extra time inside the mines this morning to farm even more iron and coal for bombs. My main worry today was Pam. Since spring 13 was the Egg Festival, I feared that she might not drive the bus today, but luckily she did arrive just before 10 AM. The main focus of this trip was exclusively iridium ore. I wasn't too bothered about how far I get down in here, but to get as much iridium ore as possible, which I could then use to smelt into bars, which sold for 1,000 gold apiece. And eventually, if I reach level 10 mining soon, I'll be able to sell them for 1,500 gold apiece. The main problem was the pickaxe. It's still copper, and I didn't manage to squeeze in another upgrade to steel, which meant I had to waste a lot of materials crafting bombs and cherry bombs in order to collect the iridium ore quickly. I did have to remember that I still needed the 5 iridium bars left spare to repair the boat to Ginger Island. Talking about the boat, I still need 3 more battery packs. But luckily, iridium bats that spawn in the skull caverns have a 5% chance to drop them, so every time I saw one, I made sure to slay it, and I managed to get my first battery pack today, leaving me only needing 2 more. It was a hugely successful trip today, coming out with 175 iridium ore, and even a prismatic shard, although I did forget to grab the galaxy sword. Before I left, I traded for some triple shot espressos and spicy eels, and also some desert warp totems, making future trips much easier. The main plan for this skull caverns trip was to set me up for future ones, mainly during the desert festival, which is crucial to completing this challenge. I turned all of my copper and stone into furnaces and began the smelting. Every bar is 1,000 gold, and will make buying the rest of the community centre very easy. Overnight I made 36,000 gold after selling all of my fish from day 12, and of course factoring in the 50% extra value boost from level 10 fishing. The next day I made up some more bombs using all the materials I had, as I planned to return to the skull caverns yet again. But before then, I had to farm floor 41 in the mines to get more coal after wasting it all on bombs yesterday. I did have a lot of errands to run first though. The first was Clint's to pick up my new steel axe, and then to buy the greenhouse upgrade at Joja Mart. And it's time to address the elephant in the room. I had barely made any progress in collecting hardwood. Well, don't worry. There are 3 giant logs on the map, which each give you 8 pieces of hardwood. One is right here by the blacksmiths. And also there are some more hardwood stumps up here by the bookseller, giving me 12 extra pieces. The second log is by the entrance to the secret woods, giving me 8 more pieces. And of course the hardwood stumps inside the secret woods. And the final log is laying on the farm, which I decided to leave for now and mine all of the smaller ones on the farm, which means in one day I could get 40 pieces of hardwood, which put me on 69 pieces in total. And I still had a few more small stumps to chop on the farm, and of course the log, which is still very far from 200, but it was progress nonetheless. The reason I left the big log and some other stumps to chop on the farm was that I really needed to get back to the Skull Caverns by now. As soon as I arrived, I traded my prismatic shard in for the galaxy sword, and it was another good run, coming out with 127 pieces of iridium ore, which I traded for some mega bombs. It may sound stupid to do this, but I needed the bombs tomorrow as I planned to do the biggest run of the challenge. Of course, day 15 is the day of the desert festival, and I made up some more bombs and sorted out my inventory, ready for a big run. Initially, I didn't plan on getting a Jojo upgrade done today, as I couldn't afford it in my plan, but I was surprised to see a free 10,000 gold from Mr. Key in the mail from reaching floor 25 in the Skull Caverns, which meant after chopping the stumps in the secret woods, I could sell some iridium bars at Clint's to afford the next Jojo upgrade a whole day earlier than I had originally planned. With the remaining gold, I bought some coal, but I already have so much iridium smelting, that means tomorrow I could finish off the entire community centre. But we aren't done just yet. I would still need 111 pieces of hardwood in 2 days and 2 battery packs. But come on, keep the faith. I'm sure you're all waiting to see how exactly I'm going to get 111 pieces of hardwood in only 2 days. Well, if you didn't know, the Desert Festival is extremely useful to participate in, giving you some great rewards, and also some of the NPCs from Pelican Town come up to open stalls which you can trade in calico eggs for. And as it turns out, there is actually one NPC that can trade for hardwood, and that was Leah. And guess who's standing at the Desert Festival tomorrow? Leah. See guys, I have it all planned out. That meant after one more trip to the secret woods, I would have the 200 pieces of hardwood. The issue was, she was charging 3 calico eggs for 1 piece of hardwood, which would mean I would need 300 calico eggs. And to be honest, it wasn't even that bad, considering I got over 500 of them during my max skills video. I'm still 2 battery packs down as well, but I'm hoping to get a few more today if I focus on slaying every iridium bat I see. My tactic was that any floor that becomes infested will spawn exclusively iridium bats at a certain floor, which would allow me to slay a fair few than normal. And I managed to get the first battery, and then later I managed to get the second, which meant I had collected one of the hardest items for this challenge. The run was perfect, but the only thing I cared about now was calico eggs, which I managed to get over 500 of them, half of which from Gil, meaning the challenge was nearing its end. Overnight I sold some more items and made another 12,000 gold, putting me on 21,000 gold on day 16. And there isn't much to do now. I could head down to the secret woods for the final time to collect even more hardwood, and I waited outside the Joja Mart to buy the final bundle, meaning the community centre is now finished. I could then complete my hardwood goal by trading in 300 calico eggs into Leah for 100 pieces of hardwood, giving me all the materials to fix up the boat. You gotta give me credit, this was such a unique way to get the hardwood I needed, and doing things this way allowed me to choose the Riverlands farm over the forest farm, which is much better long term in comparison. I went to bed and watched Joja remove the giant boulder, and I strolled into town and watched the community centre completion cutscene, which is always super weird with Joja, but as a reward I did get a free Joja Cola fridge. Annoyingly, Willie doesn't allow us to view his boat today until the day after you view the community centre completion cutscene, which means we can jump straight into bed. Day 18, I got the letter from Willie and charged down there to donate the 5 battery packs, 200 pieces of hardwood, and 5 iridium bars to fix up the boat. That means tomorrow I can travel to Ginger Island, completing the challenge. And that's exactly what I did the next morning. And my gosh, did it feel great to step onto the island in only 19 days into the spring season, which is honestly insane. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, a like, subscribe will be greatly appreciated. I've got some really exciting things coming up on the channel, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a video. But for now, thank you wonderful people for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.